back. So we'll continue our discussion on event handling in this video. In the previous video I discussed about the delegation model of event handling, in which we have got three components. One is the event, other is event source, and third one is event listener. Right, so let's start with the event classes, the first component of event handler. We'll discuss with event classes, then we will discuss about event sources, and then we will finally see how event handler or event listener will be coded. So before I start, there was some background noise, so I had to take a pause. Okay, so here are the event classes. We have got action event that is generated when a button is pressed. We have got adjustment event. It is generated when a scroll bar is manipulated, like you scroll down or scroll up. We have got component event, we have got container event, focus event, input event. I mean, for each of these event type, you will see some descriptions written, but you won't understand it unless you have a proper example on them. For example, this action event, it is generated when button is pressed, when list item is double clicked, or when menu is selected. For example, this is the menu. When I click it, I'm actually generating an action event. Right, when I click on a button like this, like this, like this, these all are buttons. When you click these buttons, you are actually generating an action event. When list item is selected, like this is the list item, if you selected line, arrow, elbow, when you click one of these, you are actually generating an action event. Right, it actually defines 4 integer to find out if alt is clicked with the button, if control is clicked, or with MetaMask is clicked, or shift is clicked. I mean, it will actually tell you the combination with what this button has been clicked. And when these are done, this action performed, constant will identify which of these actions have been performed. Again, as I told you earlier, don't worry, you will get a better idea of these when you will see an example, right, which we'll see in the next video. Then we also have, remember this action event, we have got a constructor which has got these 3 arguments. The source, where it is being generated from, is it a menu, is it a button, or what? Type of the event, what type of event is being generated, and what command it is. You will see all these things. I mean, for all these 3, we have got these 3 methods as well. Get action command will return you command. Get modifier will give you this type, and then this long will give you the time. We also have this adjustment event class. It is generated by the scroll bar. These are 5 types of the event. Block decrement, I mean, when you click on the down arrow, I mean, when you click at some, for example, you see I do not have taskbar here, but if I have it on this, on IBA, you can see now this is a scroll bar. So when I click somewhere here, or maybe somewhere here, or maybe somewhere here, I'm generating an event, and that event in this case is block increment. Block decrement is this is block decrement. When you click a mouse to bring a scroll down or up, you are actually performing block decrement and block increment. Track, I mean, when this is, when I'm doing this, I'm actually dragging the slider, and this type of event is actually called track. Then unit decrement, unit increment, you can see this is unit increment. When you click this down arrow, unit increment, unit increment, unit increment, and this one, it is unit increment, unit increment, unit increment. So these 2 events are when the button at the end of the scroll bar was clicked to decrease the value, when the button at the end of the scroll bar clicked to increase the value. Right, so to deal with the scroll bar, this adjustment event should be handled. Then component event, generated when size, position, or visibility of a component is changed. Remember, component can be hidden, can be moved, can be resized, can be shown. For example, this is a component. I mean, this whole window is actually a component. So when I do this, when I do this, or maybe this, component resize, right? And when I do this, component move, and when I do this, component is hidden, right? So all these events can be generated when you play with these container and component. I'll come back what is container, what is component, right? Remember, every container is also a component. We will come back to this difference when we will be dealing with GUI. We'll see what is component and what is container. But remember, every component is a container, and a container is actually something in which you will have more components. For example, this whole window is a container. I'm saying this whole window is a container because in this container we have got a component of this slide bar, we have got a component of this menu bar, we have got a component of this title bar, we have got a component of this address bar, right? So all these are actually components which are contained inside a container, which in this case we call as a window, right? You can call window, in Java we'll call them frame, but the thing is, a container is something that can contain more components, and all these components are actually small parts of graphical user interface. Remember, all the containers are also components. By this I mean that you can put this whole window on another window, right? You can place this complete window on another window. We'll come back to this discussion when we are discussing about Java Swing and AWT component, right? So when you adding a component to a container, you are actually generating an event which is called container event. And container event can be of two types. It can be component added or component removed. Focus event, as its name suggests, currently the window which is maximized, it has got the focus, but then if, say for example, I do this, we are in focus, but if I move mouse here, it will actually lose the focus, right? So this is gain focus, this is losing focus. So when your mouse comes in the area of your frame, comes in the area of your window, you are actually gaining the focus. But when this mouse moves out of it, you are actually losing the focus, right? So these two events, which are focus gained or focus lost, these are the two constants which will actually tell you which focus event have been generated. Is it focus gained or focus lost? We will handle this event at the start of the next video. Then you've got input event class. These are usually generated when you provide some input in a text field or wherever. There are component. It will actually tell you if you are providing input by pressing Alt down or Alt graph down or Control down. You know that when you press Control if, it is different than when you press if. So if you press if, you will get ASCII code of if. But when you press Control if, it is some function, right? We'll see how to handle with input event. Then we have got item event. These are usually generated when checkbox or item list are clicked, right? Deselected or selected. Presently these are deselected. Now I select line, now I select arrow, right? I deselect line and I select arrow, I deselect arrow and I select elbow connector. So you can see you can perform these type of tasks, and when you do that, this actually generated item event. Then key event, this will tell you if key is pressed, key is released or key is typed. Mouse event, wow, very very strong Java API for handling all these type of event. A lot of classes for handling different type of event. Mouse event can be mouse clicked, dragged, entered, exited, moved, pressed, released, wheel, right? You can understand all these. The names are suggesting when this type of event will be generated. Mouse wheel event, wheel block scroll or wheel unit scroll. Is it just one time rolled over, or this is continuously being moved? So all these type of events can be handled. Text event, they are generated by text field and text area when a character is entered. We will handle these events as well. Window event, activated, closed, closing, deactivated. All these events are we will be able to handling, right? Now remember, these were few type of event. In this video, I'm just introducing you to these names and a kind of superficial introduction when and how they will be generated, right? But obviously you will get more idea of all these when we will be writing program for them. These are all the type of events. Now then you also have got sources of event. I mean, who will generate the event? The event will be generated by a button, event will be generated by a checkbox, by a choice, by a list, by a menu item, by a scroll bar, by a text component, by a window. You know that these are the sources of event. This is source of event, menu. This will generate some event. When I click it, it generates an event. When I select it, it generates an event. What do you do in response of that event will be defined by the listener, right? But these are some examples of sources which will generate events. For example, if I show you calculator, I tell you this is the button, right? Now this will generate a kind of action event. When I say an action event, what you need to do, when I click on this, I am generating an action event. Now my handler is actually updating this text field. It knows that when we click this button, we actually take label of this button and write that into this text field. Remember, this is the text field where we are writing the number. Then this is another source of the event, which is 5. When I click it, once again my handler knows that when action event is generated by clicking 5, I need to write 5 here. But then again it is conditional. If there is already one number is written, I need to push that towards left and then write another number there, right? Similarly, it knows that when someone clicks on plus, I need to kind of store this operand 75. I need to know that 75 has been entered, so store it somewhere, store what operation you have clicked, and then get second operand, and then if someone is pressing this one, you know that you need to perform an operation of plus between 75 and 36, so the answer is 111. So these are the sources of event, right? And this is also a component. This whole is a frame. This whole is a frame where calculator is created. This whole is a frame, or you can call window in Windows language, right? Container you can call it. But you can see all these are components. All these buttons are actually components. These buttons are components. This text field is component. This menu is component, right? So all these components are actually put on a frame. You can call it a container. And for all these buttons, we are handling event. The event is when you click on button, you produce action event, and in response of the action event, we are performing some action, right? Okay, so all these buttons, these checkbox, these choice box, these lists, they are actually sources of event. They will generate event. And what type of event will they generate? All these type of events. You can see a mouse event, input event, focus event, container event, component event, adjustment event, action event, and these are generated when you say action performed. This method will be called. It will tell you what action has actually been performed, right? So these are the sources of event, and then we have got event listener. I stop this video here. You so far have got an idea what is an event, and you have also got an idea what are the sources of event. In the next video, I will discuss about how to handle events, and then hopefully we'll see a couple of examples in that video. Thank you very much.